All right.
Hello. Welcome. We're back.
We're back for episode 2.
Episode 2. Holy shit.
We released the first one, didn't we?
First one's released. It just for context sake, a little bit belated.
Yeah.
We did that start of February, end of January, so a few things had to go into the works just to get this out. So apologies if that was a bit outdated, but from all feedback, I think it was pretty good.
I think it was a good launch. This is the Poorly Timed podcast, by the way.
Yes. We're your hosts.
Yeah, that was a poorly timed start, wasn't it? Yes, we're your hosts.
I'm Taj.
I'm Bailey.
So here's to episode 2.
Here's to episode 2.
First thing is, at the time of recording, it's 4th of March, 2:30 in the afternoon. 91 of you have listened in.
Yeah. That was like a much better response than we were expecting, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I've been looking at the view count of my videos the last few days. I'm like, shit, people are watching this?
Yeah.
People
are actually like putting up with our voices.
Yeah, like, it's odd. Like, I looked at my other video, Fat Suit Feels, with our good friend Maria dancing around in a inflatable fat suit around UQ. 168 people watch that. And I'm just thinking, who watches this trash? But apparently you guys do, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uni's back.
Uni's back.
It's coming on to week 3.
Week 3 already.
Holy shit.
It's already March. Can you believe that?
No.
Not at all. No.
I just can't believe we're 3 weeks and it just feels like, yeah, that's gone speeding faster than a bullet.
Yeah.
And, yeah, not going to lie, second year gets shitter.
Yeah.
It's not the golden road that first year was. It's not easier.
No.
Definitely harder. But, yeah, I guess classes don't help. Me personally, I've got a few shit ones.
Yeah, well, you've pretty much had some strife from the very get-go.
Very get-go, yeah. So, at the start, my university left me with 3 subjects. Wasn't the best, but, you know, that's life. And yeah, my favourite subject is in a decommissioned building where the electricity in my lecture went off 5 times.
You were telling me about that the other day, and I was just like, that's too many times.
Yeah. Another one of my tutorials is in the same building, and I have to walk through a construction site to get there. And yeah, so I just switched my degree, by the way, to a more specialised film course.
Oh, okay.
And for one of my first lectures, it's a first year subject. So as you'd expect, it's beaming with fresh faces. With like the children of uni.
Like, I think 3 out of my 4 subjects are first year subjects. So I have to put up with like first years just like they're all scared and sitting there afraid to ask questions and stuff like that. And like I get it. We were there at one point, but I'm just like, I'm looking at that and just like, was I really that bad?
Yeah. It's an odd time for a first year uni student, but it's just packed to the brim and everyone's like talking. They've made their first uni friends, and it packed to the brim, and it was an odd one because first thing that happened was like they turned one sentence, which is, importantly, mind you, we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we stand on and, you know, their teachings, yada, yada, I can't remember. And instead of just merely saying that, which would have been fine, I'm like, yep, cool, I know that's important, they decided to bring in a lecturer or professor on Indigenous histories and talk for half an hour of a 2-hour lecture about the creative Indigenous works that are out there.
Right.
Which usually would be all right, but it had no relevance in our lecture.
What was the subject?
It's called, I don't want to say it for
security reasons.
Security reasons. But it's a first year subject for me because in my degree it encompasses about 10 different creative faculties from film, acting, drama, visual arts.
Okay.
So it has to be very general. Yeah. But it just went on about nothing, and it's so broad that it's pointless.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the first thing that they did after this, like talking about like all these indigenous artworks and everything, but had no relevance to the lecture, and it was all like just different pieces of art that this exists.
So it wasn't like, and this is what you could be looking at for an assessment, or
No,
this
it
is
had
what you could be
nothing
looking
to.
at for
They
future works.
They barely talked about the assessment.
Wow. That's usually like, so it was the introduction.
Yeah, it's just the introduction lecture, and after that half hour, it's like they stated that we talked to your lecturers and asked what are the best, thinking skills that you need for creative practice, and they all came back and said, oh yeah, this is what we need, this is what is good, and yeah, and I'm not sure what they're on about because it's one of those lectures where there's minor quotes like creative practice and creative thinking is this, and it's something I'm like, okay, that I can kind of see how that works, but I don't see it being relevant, and I'm like, no, that's not important. And then I see every other first year around me going, desperately trying to take down a note, and I'm just like,
well, that's with anything, because all first years they'll be like, okay, so in school we got like however much time to copy down all the notes on the PowerPoint, but in uni you don't get that time. You have to learn how to take notes properly.
Yeah.
And like it takes a while. Like honestly, it took me all of first semester to really get used to it.
Yeah, it's different. I was lucky in high school, whereas my teachers were like, this is how it's going to happen in you got to get used to it.
Yeah.
So you got to look at the information, like what's important. Can I have enough time to take this down?
Yeah.
And it's good because I've got a laptop, because if you're handwriting, I feel so sorry for you.
Oh, I handwrite.
Yeah, it's hard because it takes so much longer. And yeah, it's so hard. But yeah, it's not that bad, but yeah, it's just anything that's up on that screen it's just like happy hour at a bar. It's just you go for it. You don't stop until it's over. And yeah, that's uni. And then lecture for that, not the lecture, the tutorial for that subject, the 30-person class.
Yeah.
My tutor is so fucking hopeless.
Really?
Like, not even coming. He comes in the classroom 2 minutes ago. He just leaves for some reason. Just walks out. Comes back in. Is like, I don't even know what his name was. I don't remember him even saying hello. But he seems like the most clueless motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's like brings up the PowerPoint. He's like, here we go. Here's some Aboriginal artwork. Now get into groups of 2 or 3, and
discuss amongst yourself.
Yeah, and it's like analyze it. And he went over. There was a whole PowerPoint slide saying what you need to do.
Yeah,
and it's just, he just glossed through it over 30 seconds. We're like, what are we meant to do?
Yeah, and
I wasn't paying much attention, to be honest, because it's a bit of a boring subject. Like, the guy spoke in a monotone voice, and you're just there, and it was this picture of an Aboriginal man sitting down, but there was no color in it, and it was all like dotted lines, like a coloring book.
Yeah,
like you got and there was numbers around saying you got to color in that. And it was an interesting piece of artwork after a while, but the questions were like, what's the objective, like what is factual about this, like size, like colors, use of colors, like what is obvious, and like.
So it wasn't really kind of analyzing it. It was more so just looking at it and stating what.
Oh, there was that, and then you had to like, what's your subjective meaning to this?
Oh, okay.
And everything, and then it goes into like, it expects us to do further research, and I'm like, ugh.
We all know further research means just like,
don't do it.
You're not going to do it, so just don't worry about it.
Yeah, and then thing is, it was just like, it was in a PowerPoint, but he didn't know how to put it to full screen.
Oh my god!
And it took a bunch of explaining, and then we got to this video of a music video that's Indigenous band called Treaty,
right?
And it's based on 1989. The Prime Minister of Australia at the time, I can't remember who it is. I think he was Keating. He said, by 1990 we will have a treaty with the Indigenous people, and that song was the reminder that's like, you've oppressed us for how long? How do we know you can take our word, or take your word? Anyway, it's a good music video, good song. Like, but this lecturer like tries to open in YouTube and he's got no clue how.
Really?
And
just real quick, Bob Hawke was the Prime Minister.
So at the time, Bob Hawke. He had no clue.
Yeah.
And he couldn't. It's like, has anyone's computer got HDMI? And I'm looking around like, oh god, no one's got HDMI. I've got HDMI, and I had to draw the short straw, and he plugs it in, and the projector it just goes skits, like the bloody, and I'm pretty sure this was the building because once again it's decommissioned, and my lecture hall loses its power 5 times in it, but it's just showing skits images. I'm like, oh no. Please don't make that be from my computer. My God. It's like, I might just play it on this other guy's computer. I'm like, oh God, that's arguably worse.
Yeah.
Because I always have this fear in the back of my mind that if you they show some of their class, you might see something that you don't want to see. And I'm not talking about porn. Everyone's thinking that like
everyone's
like seeing your porn history. It's not that, but just like you see things that you watch and like, oh my God, he's a nerd. You watch that on YouTube.
You watch like gaming videos, you nerd.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with because I always do. But like, yeah, no, I get that.
It's a very private, your viewing habits.
Well, I get that with my the backgrounds on my laptop. So I have a lot of ones for like, I have one for Power Rangers. I have one for Legend of Zelda. I have one for the bands I listen to and all that. And I always feel like people are silently judging me from behind me if they can see it.
Yeah, it's a hard one. But yeah, so that's my worst subject. There are other ones, but I feel like I've ranted on for too long about.
Well, I'll talk about mine then, because I had a pretty, just like a weird first couple of weeks. So with not so much first couple of weeks, just like one of the days that was like just so out of sync with what I thought was going to happen. So it was the first Monday it was the week 2 Monday. And I have a shoot usually at night. On my timetable, it says it goes from 5 to 7.
Yeah.
But on the lecture slides, the lecturer always puts up a slide that says, oh, these are when all the tutorials are. The time for my tutorial that's in my timetable wasn't up there.
Oh, geez.
But I saw the room that was up there. So I went up to him after the lecture and I was like, hey, just wanted to double check that this is if there's something up here, if there was just like a typo on the slide or whatever. He's like, what? He's like, what? That's not supposed to be like that. And I was like, what, on the slide or on the timetable? I was like, on the timetable. Your shoot is actually an hour after that. So he's like, it's actually 6 to 8.
Oh.
I'm like, what? I can't do that. And he's like, yeah, no, like, I'm sorry, but that's just like what it is. And then he said that they had decided to make that like an hour later, way before like even O Week started.
Jeez.
And that the people at the registration hadn't changed it yet.
Oh,
so
man.
this means a whole class of people has a timetable that's wrong. And it's in like a really weird room to get to. So he had to go like stand outside of this room at 5 o'clock and be like, oh, sorry, come back in an hour.
Jeez.
And I was so livid. But then he just cancelled it.
Just cancelled
He just cancelled it because nobody was showing up.
Oh, geez.
For the later one. Because everyone was like, oh, I can't stay for the hour after it was supposed to end.
Yeah.
So he just cancelled it and I went on my merry way. I was just like, I was mad, I was livid. Livid's a good word. Yeah, and I just went singing with my friends.
It's fair to say the whole timetabling at our university, because we go to the same one, is fucked up.
Oh, it's hopeless.
Like, all my classes are stacked on a Thursday, Friday, or in an afternoon night. Like, I enrolled for another subject because I got screwed over and left with 3, and I found a 4th one and that I was meant to do, but just wasn't showing up there enough.
Yeah.
Like, properly. And I got a still email to get into my, get in the class. But apparently the tutorials on, like, from 4 to, like, something like 2 to 3, you get an hour break, and then 4 to 6 again with, like, the workshop.
Yeah.
So it's, like, on a Tuesday afternoon. So it's just ends at, like, 6 p.m. at night like that.
Just like...
Yeah, and, like, all my lectures are, like, at night. Or, like, half of them are. It's just stupid, and I don't get it.
I get maybe some tutorials that go into nighttime, but I don't get lectures that go into nighttime.
No, it makes no sense. And it's definitely a short straw drawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, even I've heard like my cheaters aren't happy about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that's enough about Uni and groaning on because we got happier topics.
We got happy topics to talk about. Shall we talk about the craze that everybody's loving at the moment?
I wouldn't call it a craze. I'd call it a phenomenon.
A phenomenon. This, of course, refers to Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which we both saw the other day.
It's about a week ago.
About a week. 2 weeks.
Week and a bit.
Whatever. It was a time ago.
Yeah, it was it was way off yonder.
Way off.
It was good.
It was good. I was expecting kind of like a Wonder Woman thing.
I knew it would be different, and I knew it'd be a step forward.
It was.
But it was brilliant.
Just to give a bit of context there, when I say a Wonder Woman thing, you know how everybody was excited about Wonder Woman.
First female superhero.
Yeah, and when you first watch it, it was really good. But then when you go back and watch it, it's kind of like, this movie has a lot of stuff that's kind of like
wrong.
That's not so good.
Yeah.
Not in terms of like the story, but just in terms of like, well, kind of just in general, it's kind of like, oh, it's not as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
I don't get that feel from Black Panther because when I first saw Wonder Woman, I was like, yeah, that's how that is. But now watching that, I'm just like, this is a good movie. Like, I could go back and watch this and like, still love it. Bless up.
It's an extremely culturally different film as well.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to put spoilers in this either way, but it's like there'd be scenes where, you know, like challenge for the king, and they're like really showing like
the culture of it.
The culture, like.
And it doesn't shy away from it either. It kind of shows the kind of reality of like that actual thing. And I saw on Inga the other day, there was like a comparison between some of the characters in the movie and like real life like
actors, actresses.
Well, no, ceremonial dressings and stuff from Africa. And it was like they used it
quite just spot on.
Spot on, yeah. Like there's one character who has a plate in his lower lip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I know that.
Yeah, and that's like he's pretty much got in the film he's got the title that someone in real life would have one of those plates. And it's just like it's those little things that kind of like shows that they wanted to make this movie which celebrates the African culture basically.
Yeah. And it's just there's nothing to do wrong. Michael B. Jordan does a fantastic performance, I reckon. Like,
he's brilliant in it.
He's very good.
Redeemed himself from the last Marvel movie, quote unquote Marvel movie he was in.
Yeah, what movie was that?
Fan Four Stick.
Yes.
Johnny Storm.
Yes. Yeah, but he's a great actor, and I was a bit reluctant as his character's very very hip hop, out of the streets of Atlanta kind of guy, but it works. And, and it's not like the villain's there just to be bad. For once, it's there like his actual kind of vision and his motive makes sense.
Yeah, his intent behind his actions are kind of like you get it.
Yeah.
But it's like it's also at the same time like bad.
Yeah. He was a great villain.
I saw that he was kind of reluctant to play a villain, but once he started it, he was like, okay, you can really have some fun with these characters.
Yeah.
And he did really well at it.
Yeah. And Chadwick Boseman, he's
just...
The accent, just the character.
Just the character in general. Did you know, our buddy Adam was telling us this, he's 41.
41?
He's 41.
My God.
Dude looks like he's 20.
My God, he's got some good juju in his breakfast juice. My God.
It's the Black Panther serum, keeps you young.
Yeah. But the director as well, and he's only done a handful of movies.
Yeah.
I mean, the most notable one is Creed, which was a good movie.
Creed,
also with Michael B. Jordan, which, it's a very direct thing to do, work with the same actors.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've noticed that trend with, when we were talking about Star Wars, Rian Johnson had only done a handful of films as well.
Yeah.
So I think it just reinforces that point I made where directors like their producers like the director's young.
Yeah.
You know, haven't done many films, so they can keep to a formula. But difference here is they've made sure he sticks to that formula, I think.
Yeah.
But
I think
they've let him have the right amount of creative control.
Yeah, I think Marvel movies are a little bit different from Star Wars because Marvel movies only go back about 10 years now.
Yeah.
Whereas Star Wars goes back.
Yeah, Star Wars
4
there's a lot more. It's very different. But
yeah. But no, I see what you're saying there. He would have had to like think about like everything else that's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
And then put it all back into line with it, set it up for Infinity War basically.
Yeah, and should be good, but I think that's mostly all we had to say.
Yeah, I think we only wanted to spend a little bit of time on that just to avoid spoilers. And we could probably go on for a whole podcast about Black Panther.
Yeah. But another movie that I've seen that I want to mention is Sweet Country.
Yes.
Now, if you don't know this film, I probably won't blame you because it's in a small not small Australian production, but it's an Australian production.
Yeah. Australian movies don't really get off the ground as much as they should.
And yeah, it's directed by Warwick Thornton, who he did Rabbit Proof Fence.
Ah, yes.
So he's a very kind of influential director in Australia, and probably one of the most important.
Yeah, I would say.
Because Indigenous issues are so rarely highlighted, especially in film.
Yeah.
So it's really important to, shout out the highlights. And Rabbit Proof Fence, if you don't know, I haven't seen it, but, it's just the concept of it.
I've seen it probably a good 5 times because we used to watch it in, like, religion in school and talk about, like, the values in the movie and then how they align with, like, the values today and everything like that. It is really good. It's, like, it's a small... It feels like a small production film.
Yeah.
But it does really well in kind of showing like the history of Australia and like the stuff that we really need to highlight and look at.
Yeah. And Sweet Country it deals with a few darker issues. But it's interesting. The whole premise of it is you have I'll explain a bit, but you have this Aboriginal fella. I'm terrible with names, so I can't remember his.
That's okay.
And he lives with a very holy man, a white man that is,
right,
who played by the fantastic Sam Neill.
Oh, Sam Neill.
And it's different on this property because Sam Neill's a very Christian fella, and he believes them to be equal in the eyes of the Lord. So he has a lot more freedom and everything. And I think this deals with this protagonist to be a bit more defiant.
Yeah.
Because they show that he's a lot more defiant. Because when he'll not lend him, but like send him on jobs with other neighbors asking for favors.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, let's call him Sam because I can't remember his name. Actually, you know what? While I talk about this, I'll Google him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and they treat anyway. So let me start again.
It's kind of like a touchy subject to talk about. I feel because I feel like in the film it use kind of like a lot of that really kind of olden times like language. So I guess you could say
the time period is set just after World War One.
Okay, so 1920-ish.
Yeah, so Great Depression in the outback.
Yeah.
So they're still on horseback in the old Aussie sheds. And so what happens is he'll lend his neighbors his friend that lives with him.
Yeah.
Just say, okay, you need a favor, Sam. Do you want to go do this? And he will. And because their Aboriginals that they have on their land are pretty much slaves.
Yeah.
It's they treat them like that.
Yeah.
And there'll be like moments where they just lash out and he'll fight back.
Okay.
Sort of thing. So that's what I was trying to say. And there's one instance where what ends up happening is and I'm not going to spoil it, but he ends up shooting a white fella.
Yeah.
And is forced on the run.
Okay.
And it's like the tale of him running away and things happen and what happens after that. But it really highlights a period I had not known about.
Okay. That's quite interesting to like.
like post-war, it doesn't deal with snatching the stolen generation. It deals with having, I think this is after, they've, thought of them as animals.
Yeah.
But-
So like when okay, it's kind of hard. It's kind of
It's a touchy one.
Yeah, it's hard to say this without sounding like really bad, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like when they started recognizing Indigenous people as humans,
Yeah,
at least.
as humans at least, but it's still like the American era where black people were slaves.
Yeah, yeah,
Is what I'm trying to say, and it's important. Like it highlights a lot of abuse.
yeah.
And there's just one scene in particular. I'm like, oh no, it's just
Wow.
not happening. And yeah, it's an extremely important film for Indigenous culture.
Yeah, I'd imagine so, because it'd be like
Mm.
films have a really good way of just showing that
Showcasing.
really upfront, like, this is what it used to be like. Do you remember this? Can you please remember this? Because this is really important that you remember this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really hard talking about it because there's some shocking things that happen. But yeah, you just look and like, were we really like that? Did this happen? And you can see that kind of perspective of what are we doing? Like, what is happening in it?
I guess it would make you question what's happening nowadays too.
Yeah.
Like, not even just in the past when,
Yeah.
like, that's all history now, but like, it still has ramifications today.
Yeah. And I just want to say that just on a more film perspective of the movie, like the camera work, also done by Warwick Thornton, is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, Australia is such a beautiful country. It really showcases that.
That's good.
Like the outback and everything, and it takes you to some location and we're like, wow.
So is it set in like Central Australia area?
Yeah, in the outback. So we're on horseback, very dried up creek beds, red sand.
Good old Red Centre.
Yeah. Other places that I'm not going to spoil.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's really good.
So basically, go see this movie.
Go see it. It's definitely a festival film.
Yeah.
Like it's very, I'd say, experimental in a sense of the way it not progressive, but like presents itself.
Yeah.
But I think in Australian film nowadays, that's how you have to go, because
Yeah.
full-on cinema releases do not come that often.
No.
There's been 2 in the past in this decade that I can remember of full-blown cinema releases.
What were they?
Red Dog and
Oh, yeah.
Paper Planes.
Oh yeah.
Don't you remember that one?
Yeah,
That was
I remember that
2
one. I do
brilliant
like
films.
I like Paper Planes a lot, actually.
Yeah, Paper Planes was a brilliant film. Red Dog,
I haven't
It's a
actually
dog.
seen Red Dog.
it's a dog film, so expect to cry.
Oh, yes.
That's all I'm gonna say.
The endings of any dog film ever will make you cry.
Yeah, and they're the most great. They're just one of the best Australian films that
They're
what
like
we have to
feel-good
offer.
films. So
They feel good. Yeah.
was Australia with Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman, was that an Australian film, or was that like
It was-
an American produced Australian film?
It's like the Pirates of the Caribbean effect, where they bring this film over, but it's run like you have to use so much Aussie crew.
Yeah.
So like it'd be American executives, but a lot of the people running it would be Australian.
Yeah.
And on that, with Pirates of the Caribbean, like have you seen the new one that was
No.
filmed over here?
No, but it's just been added onto Netflix, so
Yeah.
I can watch.
Don't expect anything great.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Like it's half-assed.
Not since like the third one.
The first 3 were brilliant films. The fourth really still kept that magic, and I thought was really good
Yeah.
and just something different. But this 5th one, it's
The fourth one.
just there for the sake of it.
Yeah, the fourth one was a bit touch and go.
Touch and go, but it still captured that atmosphere.
Yeah,
This
it's still-
one's
yeah.
trying too much.
Yeah.
And but there's someone who plays, and not really spoiler, but one of the main characters is Will Turner's son.
Yeah.
He's from Home and Away.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like you bring these productions to Australia, you're going to use that Australian film.
Yeah.
So in the mention of Australia as the film, it's not a full blown Australian production as such.
Yeah.
But there is very Australian elements, so it's very cross cultural in that sense.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But but with Australian films, it's very hard to get up and going with those now.
Yeah, and I think with using our film
Knowledge.
culture as like
Yeah.
we don't really have that like standing film culture as I feel America. Well, obviously America does.
Yeah, and it's definitely very small. Like, in one of my subjects, our lecturer and my tutor refers to it as we're our tribe. If you're an Australian film, you're part of the tribe.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very small. And feature films don't get often done too much, and it's very hard to get funding. Like, the way I see it, and the best example I've ever seen of it came very recently when the same lecturer told our classes, like, one of her third-year graduates said, "Oh yeah, I'm going for this national grant of $50,000 to make my own film."
Okay.
So she's like, "Great, go for it." But so-and-so's going for it, and he's won 2 Emmys.
Oh, fuck.
So what are your chances? So that's just really highlights, like, the lack of funding, which is what money talks.
Yeah.
And that's the source of any thriving film.
It's definitely growing though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because the way we see it over here is TV's
is
golden.
Yeah.
Like, it's a golden age of TV for Australia, and that's where a lot of things have been filmed.
And we're not talking about like Neighbours or anything.
We're not
like
talking
that,
about just
because
no.
that stuff like has been going for 30 years.
Yeah,
and will never stop.
It's for good reasons, because stations have to show a certain percentage of, you know, their content has to be Australian made.
Yeah.
So they can't just show Big Bang Theory every 30 minutes. So yeah, it's really good. But, like, you know, your underbellies, there's other things as well. Like, ABC is all Australian content mainly. SBS has a good portion of it. But they show other foreign stuff which has never been seen, so that's fine. But yeah, it's definitely hard to get off the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, what another thing I think is also hard to get off the ground, completely unrelated, is
Good segue.
half-assed at best.
Segue.
But yeah, the Com Games coming up in a month.
Yeah. So
And I
feel like it's just going to be a lot of hype for something that's going to be a bit disappointing.
I feel like it will be. And, you know, I see it's like, oh, it's such a great chance to show off Australia. But the way they present themselves is a little bit corny.
Yeah.
So let's go from the start back to Glasgow. The 2014 Commonwealth Games.
Yep.
Closing ceremony where they hand over the torch to Australia for the next games.
Yeah.
Our presentation was the biggest heaping pile of shit I've ever seen in my life.
What happened on it? Because I don't really know what happened.
It was corny.
Yeah.
Really scripted, really corny. Like, they brought out Mick Fanning, who just retired, and I'm really, as a surfer myself, that's really.
Well, I mean, dude, like, punched a shark. He needs to retire.
Look, you make that out to be such a funny thing, but that was traumatizing.
Yeah, that would have been traumatizing. A shark attack. That's why I'm saying he needs to retire if that happened to him.
Yeah, like he got attacked by a shark, and he went under for a full 2 seconds, which doesn't sound like long, but when there's a wave coming over you and then you don't see him come up, that is scary as shit. And he is like one of the heroes of Australia. Yeah. So for a quick moment, just massive respect to that bloke, because he's always been there. Like, he's always been one of the people I've most respected in my life, just for the way he goes about himself.
Yeah. And
he's just But anyway, with the Com Games, they bring him out, and he's like, I've lived on the Gold Coast all my life, and I love the pristine beaches. I love the sweeping sands, and
getting lit at schoolies, mate.
Late night kebabs. Oh yeah, but yeah, it was just really corny and really scripted, and didn't seem natural, and was not a properly good show off of our culture.
Yeah. And now, look at the countdowns that they've been having all around Australia. Like, it's
going to be like the best thing that's happened to Australia.
3 years, 200 days.
Yeah, and
hours,
I get having the surfboards up there, but it, like, the Gold Coast of all places.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but it's one of the cheesiest places in Australia.
It's like,
I'm going to be real.
Yeah, I think it's just because it is showcasing Queensland sun, which is like legendary. The beaches, there's a beach around every corner.
Yeah.
The people there, I don't know about the people at the Gold Coast. In certain areas,
areas they're normal.
Yeah. In
like most areas, they are normal. Okay, I'm going to rephrase because I have really fucked up my words there.
No, I get what you mean. It's like in most areas they're kind of like
so
more
around the back areas like your Coomeras, like Robina.
Yeah,
they're like normal Brisbane people.
Yeah,
like city hardworking folk. But I think one of the places I go a lot is your Southern Gold Coast, Tweed.
Yeah.
Rainbow Bay or Currumbin.
Yeah.
There's a heavy surfing culture there. And some of them are really nice blokes and just really chilled out. Others are like...
Others kind of like shove it in your face.
Yeah.
And just like, hey, look, I'm a surfer dude.
I guess that's...
And then you compare that to Sunshine Coast people.
Something I'm not too familiar with.
Well, yeah, because I've been going to the Sunshine Coast like more than to the Gold Coast my whole life. And it's kind of like, it's a lot more... I don't know, because around places like Caloundra, it feels a lot more laid back than the more laid back parts of the Gold Coast. And it just feels like no one really cares there. But then you have places like Mooloolaba, which you could compare to Surfers Paradise. And they're not so much different, but there's definitely a different feel to them.
Surfers Paradise, I'd say, is the worst place on the Gold Coast.
I reckon.
Like,
that's where you get all the crazy people. It's like the Valley in Brisbane.
It's just cheesy. Like, everything's there, but there's no culture to it.
Yeah.
It's so touristy, and that's the problem with it.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the Gold Coast as a whole and how they present themselves. So I see is they're too touristy.
Yeah.
But that's their number one industry, so it makes sense why they make themselves like that.
Like, I feel like the Com Games is just a big advertisement for Australia.
Yeah, it is. But I think overall with the Com Games and less on the Gold Coast, which actually before I finish on that point, it's very touristy in like the central part. Yeah. Southern Gold Coast, like the Tweed and everything, completely different atmosphere. Yeah. It's very beachy and it's why I've loved it for so long. But with the event itself, there are problems. There are first of them and most recently the trains. I don't know if you've heard they've been taken off the rails because they don't correspond with disability kind of laws.
Yeah, something like that. And
like they're not suitable for disabled passengers to get on.
Yeah.
So there's whole controversy around that. There's also like doubts that public transport can't hold in all the people expected to come. Yeah. And like there's predictions are going to come for hours. And yeah, the news has gone on a riot with this.
It feels like from the outside, it looks like that they're really trying to prepare for it. Yeah. But when you actually like look into it, they haven't really prepared. Like for example, the train situation, because that's a massive
thing.
That's a massive part of it. Yeah. People getting there, they're not going to drive there because parking would be a nightmare.
Oh, you're not allowed to park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is all speculation, by the way. Like, I really do hope it is a massive success.
Yeah. Like I was watching some of the swimming last night of like all the people who are going to go to the Com Games. So your James Magnuson, your Campbell sisters. Yeah. And they're very excited for it, as you would be, because you're
representing your country.
You're representing your country
on home soil.
Yeah, and
it's such a big thing.
You're gonna have your home crowd there. Yeah. For some of them, they grew up on the Gold Coast too, so it's gonna it's gonna be a massive moment for them. But yeah, it just feels like at the moment it's not.
It's just overshadowed by the way they advertise it.
Yeah, by like hearsay and like advertising.
Yeah, I feel like the marketing itself it's more directed. In Australia, it's like book your tickets now, and it's all animation. I haven't seen anything to do with the actual sport.
Yeah, all I've seen is like all about. People running on the beach on Surfers Paradise Beach. Yeah, and that's not the sports. That's not showing like the stadiums and whatever. Yeah,
and I think there's got to be big marketing push in this last month to really highlight your athletes who are coming on. Yeah, and
it's already started. I feel because there's one of the Australian basketballers. He grew up in some part of Queensland. I think in Queensland where they grow strawberries, and they
probably Cairns.
Yeah, somewhere like that. And they're just kind of highlighting. Oh, he was Australian grown, and he loved Australian products.
Oh yeah, well, probably not Cairns actually, but there are other places.
Yeah, I figured where he's
Sorry, I only say Cairns because that's where they're putting basketball, or one of the places. So I actually signed up for a volunteer as for the Com Games, but I had to step out. I'm just going to admit though, the team they have are quite focused. Like he's like the head of volunteers. He's been on like the TV and the promotional videos.
Yeah.
His name's Matt something. I had a chat with him. Great bloke. Like he came around to every volunteer and he's had like all the human services, and every volunteer had a chat with us, and that was, that's really good.
Yeah, that's I feel like that's a really good way to connect with, like, if these people are like volunteering their time up for this massive event. Yeah. You're going to have some sort of personal relationship with them.
And heads up, there's over 10,000 volunteers.
Yeah.
Especially, and they would have all come through there, so that's big.
Yeah, a lot of them would be coming from other places too. Like, I know you and maybe like upwards of like 10 people.
Yeah.
I know who have volunteered from Brisbane to go to the Gold Coast, and that's like an hour's drive.
Yeah.
Which isn't a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like still substantial.
I was lucky because where they had me rostered was down at Chandler for the velodrome.
Oh, okay.
So that was a big relief because I'm not driving down to the Gold Coast for however long. But they had me rostered on for 3 shifts, and this is the reason why I dropped out. Not because I had 3 shifts. But those 3 shifts were like 9.5 hours long, from like 2:30 to 11:30. And that's unpaid work dealing with thousands of spectators as a volunteer. And for us who are very low socioeconomic uni students, that's a lot of time to give out of work. Yeah. Not out of uni because it's a 2-week mid-semester break.
We don't even go to uni anyway.
Uni
students spend less time at uni.
Yeah. Not first years. Like first years we go in.
Are there all the time.
For this semester anyway.
Yeah.
But that's so there's definitely a lot of things that can improve, but I think we both really hope that this goes well. Like, I'm not buying tickets.
No, it's
just too much, but hopefully that's fine.
Well, I wouldn't really know where to go to, like what things to go to, because I'm just like,
Yeah, like I last time I was down at Coolangatta, they were building the beach volleyball. I'm like, that looks pretty good. And
I feel like it's certain events, that's the word I'm looking for, that would have certain appeal to different people.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know what to choose.
Yeah.
The one thing that I always look at when I'm thinking about going there, it's like, what one would be like the most entertaining for the most amount of time?
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine anything would be really like that.
Yeah, and it's difficult because so many different sports and they're individual sports.
Yeah.
And they're not like, there's rugby sevens, which is a pretty good one, but another ones I like I'm a football fan at heart.
Yeah.
And there's no football in the Com Games, so
really no football in the Com Games.
Probably not. I don't remember seeing it. So just because it's so many other things happen with FIFA.
Yeah.
And it's in April, and all the big teams are still in their seasons. So it's just poor timing.
It's like starting the Big Bash when the day night cricket's still going.
Yeah, exactly. Cricket. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that's all we have to say. Just we just hope it's a success.
Yeah, I hope it is, because it is a big thing for Australia. Like even when we hosted the Olympics, was it Sydney the last time?
Sydney 2000 was the last time we hosted a big event.
And I feel like the Com Games have also been in Melbourne recently.
Oh, probably not.
Or not
recently.
Not recently. It was in Melbourne at one point.
Yeah.
I feel I don't quote me on that. But
I know there was something at Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Australia's 2 biggest cities.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 2006 Commonwealth Games.
Oh right. Yeah. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think shall we go back onto the film?
Yeah, we'll head back to what we know more of.
Yeah, this is something I only learned about today.
Yes.
Thanks to you, because you just brought it up.
So we're going back to Star Wars.
Not exactly. We're not going to rant about the universe again. This is to do with the new Solo movie.
Some scandal.
That's it's, and it is.
It's worrying.
I'm actually angry at this.
Yeah. So what's happened is
solo posters that have come out. So
yes,
there's
the promotional posters.
There's 4 of them. There's one for Han Solo, Lando, Kira, which is a new character,
yeah,
and Chewie. And what's happened is, a person who worked for Sony Music, who did the artwork for different
legacy albums.
That's it.
So there's the legacy of funk, legacy of jazz, legacy of electronic funk, and legacy of soul. So there's 4 albums, just like legacy, the best of in this genre by the looks of it. They're exactly the same.
They look exactly
the covers of those solo posters and those album covers, exactly the same.
It's ridiculously the same. And the person who actually worked with the team who designed the legacy albums has come out and said, like,
that's not a... Yeah,
it's like that's not okay. But if you want to keep using them, we expect some sort of compensation.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of royalties.
Yeah,
if not,
that is blatant plagiarism.
Yeah. And that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's a massive lawsuit. Like Sony versus Disney. Let's go.
Oh, that's fight of the century.
Yeah.
Fuck Pacquiao Mayweather. That is a real fight of the century.
Probably end up with Disney buying Sony.
Well, they're going to buy them sometime in the next 20 years, so why not now? Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I saw that today on Twitter, and I was floored because I was like, holy crap! It's not even like I've just borrowed this from here.
Or talking inspiration, that's cool. It's copy and paste. It's pretty much copy and paste, and like even the whole color sets and everything, like complementary colors,
pretty much exactly the same. Like, so for Han, we'll probably, if we could be bothered, we'll probably put up a photo of the covers.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's like,
it's bad.
Yeah, I'm almost speechless because of how, like, copy and paste it is.
Yeah, and I think I just think now, I'm like, which executive in their office said, yep, that's cool, although they probably didn't see.
They probably didn't know, that's the thing.
Yeah, but the artist had to have seen this.
The artist had to have known, because it's too uncanny
to be a coincidence.
To be an accident.
That's just poor.
Yeah.
And to think no one would pick up on that. Everyone picks up on everything. It's the internet. So that's that. And
the way the original artist of the legacy albums like worded his like response to it wasn't like he was mad or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just
it's just making sure this is my work.
It was expectant, I feel, because it was quoted in a way that this is definitely not a coincidence. So I expect this. I 100% expect you to pay me royalties for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just funny that
things like that happen. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we wouldn't talk about Star Wars, so that's that. But
that's it. Yeah, that's all we're gonna say about that.
Big things in the news of films from our childhood.
Yeah, Disney films and Pixar films.
I'm a happy man. Incredibles 2 is finally coming.
Oh my god!
I've been waiting ever since the last film for the next one.
I remember going to the cinema and seeing Incredibles.
Me too.
With my mum.
I remember seeing. I think the most enjoyable viewing I've had of that movie is on a plane back home to Australia from Europe after a school tour.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was watching, like, I've watched so many movies on the plane. Like, I watched The Castle for the first time. That was a brilliant film.
For the first time.
Yeah,
I know. We're going to talk about that after this.
Yeah, there's a lot of films that are, like, massive I haven't seen. But yeah, anyway, and I saw The Incredibles again. I'm like, I love this movie. Let's just watch it.
Yeah, it's hard not to like it.
Yeah, and oh my god, I'm like, when's the next one coming out? And I just thought, God, it's still so far away for its announcement. And yeah, it's here.
Is it this year or is it next year?
This year, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, good.
And you won't release a trailer this far ahead, otherwise you lose a lot of kind of hype in your game.
Yeah.
Not on your game, your movie.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, and it's just I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It takes a different storytelling approach. Like,
well, it picks up. Apparently, it picks up directly from where the end of the last one.
Yeah, it looks like that.
And then now this film focuses on Elastigirl rather than Mr. Incredible.
Yeah, which is fair because Mr. Incredible was
he was like
the star.
The main character in the first.
Yeah,
one.
that's gonna be a challenge though, switching protagonists. I've seen it done before, but it's just like it looks like all the focus is on him. So you've got to set up Elastigirl more and like her once, which they did alright in the last one from memory. It's been a while, but yeah.
So I remember in the first one they set up Mr. Incredible as like this really, they got his not so much backstory, just like
the inciting incident.
His demeanor of like him being a hero, and then they had to explain
why
he stopped being a hero. And everything like that, but it just didn't seem to highlight how Elastigirl felt about that.
Yeah.
So I feel like this film might go back and be like, hey.
Yeah.
This is what happened. Then.
I think it'll be good to see another female lead.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Like seeing more female leads, but one of the things I've been very not vocal but very strong about, I guess, is I only use female leads if it works. Yeah. Like it's very important to have them, but don't go with Ghostbusters and Ocean's 8 now and just say, oh, females.
Yeah, I don't know about Ocean's 8.
Yeah, me neither. I'm like, I saw the start of the film, like, hey, that's alright. And then I realised it was an Ocean's film and it was an Ocean's remaster. I'm like, oh no.
This is what it is. Though.
Not a remaster, but, reboot.
Is it by the same director?
Probably not. Knowing Hollywood, probably not. But yeah, like the whole thing, but like female leads are coming a lot thicker and thinner, and they're a lot better now. So
yeah,
I think like your whole like Star Wars is the last movies have had 2 female leads.
Yeah,
like for all the new reboots. So it's really working. So bring it on.
Bring it on. Yeah, like I think it'll work well because these characters still do have that established following, I guess you could say, from the first movie, and still everybody who loved the first Incredibles as kids.
Which was everyone.
Which is everyone, yeah.
Let's be honest.
Who the hell doesn't love superheroes?
Who the hell doesn't love the Incredibles? That's just the whole... But yeah, I'm just keen to see Jack.
Yes. Because the trailer kind of like... It does highlight how he's just using his powers like way more now. And that's like, way exciting.
It's just... The
amount of times I watched the Jack attack.
Oh my god, that is...
On disc 2 of the Incredibles, the DVDs.
Yeah.
It's just, it gets you all giddy.
Yeah. And in other trailer news, one for the kiddies, Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Wreck-It Ralph 2. I
never saw the first one.
Well, it's Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, which is the actual title of it, which annoys me.
But hey,
like, the first one was really good.
I didn't see the first one.
I thought it was really good.
But there was a few jokes in that trailer which just cracked me up.
The ending one where kitty pops and the kid screams at it. That's now
a whole meme trend.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Disney.
Disney just have a tendency. All their trailers are coming into memes now.
Yeah.
Like I've just seen all the ones from Solo.
No. Yeah.
So, just it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good, and I think it's Wreck-It Ralph. I think like instantly became like a really good one because
it's relevant.
It's relevant.
It's the internet. It's gaming. So
it's just exciting to see like something like that.
So I think that's all.
I think that's all we want to talk about today. Bit of a shorter one compared to last time. I feel maybe
we honestly don't know.
Yeah.
It's we'll find out soon enough. I reckon. I've honestly got no idea, and but we'll see.
We'll see.
Thank you for tuning in again. If you made it this far.
If you're still listening to us.
Like I don't think I made it this far.
No.
In the last podcast, I didn't make it to you.
We lived it, Taj.
Yeah. So thanks for listening in. It's
a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Yeah. Appreciate a few of the comments as well.
Yeah.
It's like it's just a lot of the people commented and saying like love your work and other things. So like ask questions, give us feedback.
Yeah.
If you love it, chuck us a like.
Chuck us a like. Like, comment, subscribe.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop. But yeah, if you just want to keep on listening, it really does mean.
It does mean the world to us.
Yeah, I mean, 91 views.
91 views. It's amazing.
It's not the fact that we're getting that much attention. It's the fact that this many people pay attention to us,
and that people are like actually liking. Well, if they are liking.
Yeah.
I don't care if they like it or not.
Nah.
We enjoy doing this.
We enjoy doing it, but it's just the fact that this much people, they're getting behind it, and I really appreciate it. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
We'll see you in the next one. We'll try and make this more regular now.
Yeah.
It's the train's rolling.
The train's rolling.
Before when we recorded this, we're loading the coal, getting passengers on board. Now it's full steam ahead. So
playing Thomas the Tank Engine theme song at full blast.
Ear rapes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right.
Okay, goodbye, guys.
Yeah.
It's another poorly timed ending.
Poorly timed ending, but thank you very much. And we'll see you in the next one.
All right.
Thank you very much, and have a good one.